Welcome to Watching the Throne, episode 9 with JT and Nico. Booyah.
All right.
All right, brother man. How you doing?
I'm good. How's that hookup treating you over there? Jay's got he's able to run the sound over on his end now through the stream. How's that sound, everybody? How's that sound out there? It's good. JT with the new audio interface and mic hookup.
Oh yeah, man. This is it's interesting, dude. That's the problem, right? You got to remember to do a few things here and there, like put it back into mono and do all that stuff like I just did. So
I was about to say I heard that pop in as you're like, hey, pop, 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 pop.
I tried, man. I tried.
Always fun on the ears.
I only noticed it because you only were coming out on one side. I was like, oh man, I did it.
Yeah, it's okay. You'll get used to it. You'll get there. It takes a little bit of even me sometimes. I start the stream as you know, and people are like, I can't hear that. I'm like, oh fuck yeah.
We're rocking out like this. Then yeah, where's the music? Oh shit! Like,
but yeah,
run into that problem again.
Big episode, guys. Episode 9 of season 1. Still an episode to go. This is actually what I recall being the last episode of season 1, which was a major jaw dropper of an episode, quite frankly. And I thought that was going to be the next episode that we talked about. So, like, when we were going to record these guys, I was telling Jay, I'm like, oh, you got to watch the next episode. And the fact that we didn't get to it, I was disappointed. But then I ended up watching episode 9, and I was just like, oh, okay. This is the episode. Okay, I didn't realize like there's still like a lot that happens in the next one though, as you can believe, right? I'm sure you can figure that one. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of shit that's gonna go down in the next episode to leave us on quite the cliffhanger for season 1. But yeah, I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but there's some crazy shit that goes down in this episode. It's nuts, man. So
it was exciting to watch this one.
Oh, absolutely. This is a great one. So. But yeah, let's get into it then. So this is episode 9, and the name is Baelor or Baelor. Is it Baelor? Baelor, I think it is.
Baelor, right? Baelor, yeah. Like it's like I got one of those at work, right? Kind of thing.
A Baelor, yeah.
But yeah, no, Baelor, I think it is.
Yeah.
So pronounced with the lore, like the lore.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, it's a cardboard Baelor, yeah.
Yeah, cardboard Baelor. That's it.
So this episode starts with this. Well, here, what did you think of this overall? Then generally, like you said, you really enjoyed this one, right? This is probably
intense.
Huh?
It was an intense one, man. That was the fun part about it. Is it got interesting slowly as it went through. I mean, pretty much for the most part, since this whole season has started, I've been interested. It was a slow rollout, but right now, up to this point, this episode, the starting of this episode, is kind of setting a perspective for something. I don't know. I'm getting nervous because I want to watch the next episode, and I wanted to finish watching it before this. But I'm thankful that I didn't, because I would have got way too ahead of myself, especially in this episode 9. But just guys, the way this rolls out this episode, it is just, there's a lot of stuff to take in, but it happens so quick. Right, and that's the interesting part about it, and you got to wonder, and it leaves you in a little bit of suspense for the next episode, so which is going to be our final episode.
Yeah,
we did one season. You got me to watch one season
of this season. Yeah, I don't think there's any stop in sight, because the numbers have been doing pretty good on these, and I hope you guys have been all enjoying it out there. And we've been enjoying it, so that's the main reason. That's the main reason we probably are most likely going to continue with it. But yeah, I agree. This was probably one of the best episodes of the season. I mean, there was some pretty big things that happened in other episodes leading up to this as well. Some pretty fucked up shit that's gone on since the start of this season, right? But I think as a whole, this one just had like nonstop, like this one was like really just leading up to the ending of this episode. This one had a lot of this was like nonstop action this episode, I feel like. Yeah, there was a couple of quieter moments, but every moment seemed important, like really important to this story.
yeah.
Like, I mean, even the shit in Castle Black, you know what I mean? Like, we'll get into it here, but there's a lot of important things, I think, in this episode, obviously that are going to affect the rest of the series moving forward, especially the ending. So, we'll get into it here, but yeah.
It got me suspenseful. I was literally having a hard time keeping up with trying to put notes down because you wanted to see what I mean, unfortunately, I'm not the best if it comes to writing and not looking. It starts to go this way, or this way, and it just doesn't work right on the page. So I start looking quickly at the page while I'm writing, right? And you don't want to take your face off the screen or anything because you're hearing it, but you want to see what the fuck's happening because it was really, really interesting.
I rewound probably about 2 or 3 times in this episode, honestly. Like,
I have to pause it. I want to rewatch it again.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So the episode starts off with the sound of breathing in the dark, which we find out is Ned Stark, and he's still stuck in the dungeons. Lord Varys comes to visit him once again with water. And he ends up telling him about, some of the things that are happening up on, above ground there in King's Landing. Sansa pleading for his life recently in order to get him to be free. And then he kind of gets into this conversation with him, talks about his past, about how prior to getting his balls cut off with a hot knife, as he put it.
I knew you wanted that line. I knew you wanted it. It was good. It was a good way to start the episode.
He's like, I used to be part of like a traveling, like an actors type of. Back in the day, like Shakespeare days and shit like that, like acting troupes used to actually go around and put on plays for people and do this kind of shit because that was a form of entertainment for them back then, before television, obviously, right? So he said he was part of like a troupe of actors, and he said during that time he found that his special, the thing that makes him special is his ability basically become basically the master of whispers. Like all these other actors mastered certain aspects of themselves, like in things that they added to their characters, and he just had this kind of ability. He says like he understood his calling essentially from doing this, and he also knows how to act, hence all the deceiving that this guy goes around and does in King's Landing, always kind of one step ahead yet knowing everything that's going on at the same time, right? So Lord Varys is a very, as you can tell, as well as Littlefinger there, very interesting characters in the King's Landing, right? They kind of got a drop on a lot of people, right, Jay? I would say.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, and that's the thing is that they kind of do have the drop on everybody. So you're always wondering what's going on. But yeah, when you went back to that line about getting his balls cut off, the way he rolled that out, I had to go back to that because I think that was hilarious. And just that conversation leading up to that, when he said about being a good actor, like it doesn't make him a good fighter, right? Like it's like doesn't teach him stuff like that. There was something else too he said in there about
There's
that.
a quote at the end of this scene which I'll mention that was actually very good as well, that Ned says in response to him talking about his acting days, right? But it was interesting because it seemed like you got an actual genuine moment out of somebody that we didn't have any genuine moments with yet, because like I said, you're not really sure, other than this guy being a eunuch, who this guy is, right? You know that he has his hand in a lot of pots. You know that he has abilities in the sense that he has all these like people that travel around and deliver messages for him and deliver messages back to him, and hence the master of whispers, right? His little birdies, as he said.
He heard the crow. Yeah, that's what he was saying. I remember he said about his Rob. Was it Rob or who's it that's going to fight? I always mix the two names up. It's Rob that's going to fight. Yeah, it's going to war, right? So he had told him about that.
Yeah. So other than that, though, I mean, you don't really know too much about this guy, quite frankly. So that was a really interesting thing that he told Ned in because they're just literally alone in the dungeon. He's the only one that fucking remembers that or cares that he's down there at this point. He's bringing them the water, but of course, he's also trying to feed him information so he can get him to help their situation in King's Landing as well, because of the impending war, which he says to him. He gets pissed off at him towards the end of this conversation, and he mentions that he wants peace, because he says like, what do you want me to do here, bud? Like I'm not gonna fucking fall to their bullshit. And he just
wants to bow down.
Yeah, he mentions he wants peace. He says Rob's marching to war against Tywin. Varys tells him to go up there, get his shit together. Pretty much, he says to him, he's like, "Go tell Joffrey he's the true heir. Bend the knee. Tell
Basically, kiss his ass for a bit. Yeah.
Tell your son to drop his sword." That's what he says. In order to save the realm, he's like, "I want you to save the realm. To do your due diligence, your duty in that sense. I don't care about fucking you saving face.
Not just sitting here and dying."
Right. He's like, you're not doing yourself any favors by doing this, right? So I got where he was coming from, but Ned's so noble and fucking, you know what I mean, and true to, you know what I mean. He's just like, I'm not fucking doing that. No, fuck you. And then he ends up, before he walks away, he mentions the fact that, oh yeah, well, how about your daughter? Like, does that fucking matter to you? Because like they're all alone up there right now, and you're down here, right?
Well, so Ned said he grew up with soldiers. He learned to die a long time ago. That was the quote.
That was the quote. Yeah, he says. Says, "Oh, you grew up with actors. I grew up with soldiers. Yeah, I've learned to die a long time ago." And he's like, I'm already dead in his mind.
Yeah, like, that's when Varys said, "How about your daughter?"
Yeah.
How much do you take out of Varys now that you know a little bit about him acting? How much do you take out of it? Because I think Ned made a little snarky comment to it. It was a little throw in between there about do you believe him now? Because now you know he's an actor.
I would not. I don't. You can't.
I'd have to keep him at arm's length, right?
Exactly. I feel that he could be useful if he's in your corner, but you could not trust that man as far as you can throw him at all. Like you almost don't want to deal with him or have him in your corner because you can turn on you at any time and use whatever information that he knows against you. Right. So like, it's like, I almost feel like you don't want to know somebody like that or be close to somebody like that. Right. It's
never trust a grown man with no balls.
That's right. That should be a quote of this episode. So yeah, I mean, and it's hard for me too, knowing the story already, the show, where this goes. Like,
yeah,
I would
now
not.
You're starting to put it all back together, aren't you?
He has moments of listen.
Understand.
He's always trying to benefit himself, though. You got to understand, like if there's one thing I feel like he's always just trying to survive. Like he's just trying to look out for not only the betterment of the realm, but also for his place in it. Like he's looking.
He doesn't have a place really. He's not Lord. He's not a whatever. He's just Varys. I mean, he is Lord Varys, but I mean,
but the fact that he's even in this, like he is at times in the show, he's trading opinions with the king. You know what I mean? Like he is part of that group. Like he's a yes man by the highest degree, but he also is he worms his way into that situation. You know what I mean? Like he's very involved. For somebody, like you said, who doesn't really have like a royal standing whatsoever, he's very involved in the happenings of King's Landing. But he also knows his place. He knows there's certain things he can't even try or like get close to, especially when it comes to the Lannisters. They're even more conniving and untrustworthy.
The Baelor, Varys, he has to keep he has to dip his toe lightly. Sorry. He's the guy that tests the water before he says what he has to say, because
he's very smart.
He knows he's gonna, if he doesn't say it the right way or deliver it the right way, he's gonna get himself into a lot of trouble, especially in those times, right?
Yeah. But I mean, he's already had his nuts cut off, so I mean, what more is there right now other than that, right?
He's got a big nut on his head, so it's all good.
So yeah, there's that scene, which was a great scene to open up the episode with. Like you said, that what of your daughter's life does that mean anything to you? Like you said, he ends it with that. Then we cut over to Rob, this is interesting because they actually show them shooting down like the messenger pigeon, like birds, out of the sky, which is actually really smart if you think about it, because this is a way that they're
halfway through how smart it was.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like this is a way that they're actually transporting messages, and they're making sure that no bird messengers go out from Kings, like during the war right now, in order to deliver messages to one another. And I thought that was kind of really clever that they showed that. Like that is something that they could have definitely did back then, right?
Yeah, I know. Out of 100 birds you shoot down, you might get one that has a message, but you know what? That message might be really important.
Yeah.
And you got where you have to stop it from where it went. I mean,
the one they shot of the sky had something to do with like accepting birthday invitations or something like that. But then, like you said, like they just said, well, okay, well, whatever, just continue to hit all of them out of the sky, whatever you see. Like we can't let them, send like some war orders or something, essentially, like some sort of like telling them about their tactics.
Yeah. It's kind of cool how they did that. I kind of like how they do that still. When I think about it, I mean, it's its own old school telegram sort of thing. I get what they're doing there. It's kind of neat, but you got to hope for the best, right?
Yes. Yeah. Then it's basically time for Rob to make the hard decisions about assessing their next move, essentially what they're gonna do now, right? And they find out that they basically they've come to a fork, there's a town that they have to go through essentially right now, and there's a gate up, and in order to pass through these people's lands, they have to ask permission because it's another house and therefore another lord, so therefore they have to get permission. And this is like one of those blocks in the road where in order to get where they have to go, they have to pass through here. Like there's no, again, this is at a time where there's no planes, there's no what I mean? You're not just jumping in a car and taking an alternate route.
Yeah.
Traveling for fucking how many weeks at this point. And now there's a block in front of them, so they got to figure out the way to get through the town, right?
To get through it, yeah. This guy was a real winner. Hey, bro, I'm starting to like this. What's his name? Lord Frey.
Yeah. Could you pull up his the actor's name? He is excellent. He's been in a lot of things.
He's a real asshole though. I'm loving it though.
He's always an asshole, this guy, in most stuff. He was in The Strain, the show The Strain.
Oh yeah, that's where I know him from. I knew I seen him.
Yeah.
What the fuck is his name?
He was in The Strain. He was the old ass man that was the vampire hunter in The Strain, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And which is a Guillermo del Toro movie, and he's been in a few things that Guillermo del Toro's. He's also been in.
Is it Walder Frey?
Yeah, Waldor. Yeah,
Walder Frey is
Lord Waldor. Yeah. So, but what's the actor's name?
David Bradley.
Yeah, he's excellent. I've seen him in some English stuff too, some English shows.
Potter stuff.
Yeah, he's very fucking. He was in the new Pinocchio by Guillermo del Toro. He was a voice in it. He was Geppetto. He's excellent. I forgot he was in this because it's been a while since I
Want to see him?
Yeah, sure. Throw him up on screen.
He kind of hasn't changed much since the show. I mean, he's probably aged a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right.
He's great. Great actor. And it's been a while since I've seen this, and I've seen him in a lot of things since I've seen him on Game of Thrones. But really awesome actor. And so what was I going to say? The other thing is too, that I wanted to mention about him is, so they have to get past this. They have to go through this guy's place.
Yeah.
And for basically to be allowed to cross. And Catelyn, his mother, then agrees to go and speak to him because she knows she's known him for a long time. And, because the Tullys are also another lordship, right? So another house. So the Tullys, her family, when she goes there to ask for help to allow them to pass, it's a weird scene because you see the fact that he's like fucking like young women there. Like he talks about a 15-year-old.
15-year-old, bro. I was dying.
He says the honey's all mine about her after like he tells her like
the honey's sweet and it's all mine.
He's like so happy about it after she leaves the room. She turns to Catelyn Stark and he's like, 15 years old. Like this guy, and she kind of gives him a weird look when she shows up there because he's got all these like young women around him, right? So I mean,
he's fucked.
Yeah.
But he's so cool. He plays it so smoothly, bro. Like I mean, when the 15-year-old part always throws me off. It's still doing that up till now. And like I said, I mean, I'm really having a hard time with that part of this whole thing, but I get it. I understand it, right? I'm starting to understand. I'm putting it aside. But yeah, so I mean, just the way he acts, and I mean, his wife. Did they say his wife passed, or is she just not around? Like he's just a whore.
I guess she must have passed, because she's not around. But I think he beds a lot of women or marries a lot of them. Because, as he mentions, he has an abundance of children. He has fucking shitloads of children that he's just had because of all these, I guess, girls that he's had sex with, right?
His family.
Yeah. But then he basically says to Catelyn, like, listen, like I know that the Tullys I've hated on my people for a long time now. How about when I invited you to so and so's wedding or whatever? You didn't show up. You didn't show up this other time. Clearly, he's like, we're not friends. Like, and why should I be doing you any favors? And it seems like it's going to be difficult, right? So,
I think they were his weddings
well,
to all
that
these other women, right?
yeah, but then he also mentions like I need to find like what I need is to find like husbands for all these women, all my daughters and everything else, right? So then it looks like that she's gonna have a hard time convincing him, right? So it cuts away from that scene for now. We'll go back to that later, right? So it cuts away, and we go visit Castle Black.
Yes, we do.
Jon Snow is given a Valerian steel sword, which is like the highest grade of sword you can be.
Where did you hear Valerian before? I already heard it already.
Dragon, of course.
Also,
Well, I told you that already. I'm like, we haven't seen any fucking Valerian, but we kept hearing Valerian steel, right? Because that's
the strongest.
Yeah, that's right. It's by far his commander there. He gives him like the guy that he basically is, he has to assist, and that was what he's been given as his role there. And he was kind of upset about it at first, but that guy gives him the sword. And he says, this was supposed to be going to my son, but unfortunately he betrayed our name or something, and he fled, and like there was some unpleasantness, and as a result, this is his father's sword given to him, and he wants to give it to Jon because if it wasn't for him and his dog, his beast, as he calls him, Ghost,
we'll see them.
The wolf, he would have been dead from the undead that attacked him last episode, because we know that he ended up throwing that fire on him and taking him out there, right? But if it wasn't for them and Ghost and Jon Snow, he would have been dead. So he said, I want you to take this sword, and I don't want to hear another thing about it. Like, because at first he's like, no, I can't take this. He's like, no, I can't give it to my son. He betrayed the family. Like, I'm not in touch with him. Clearly he fled and everything else he said. And he's like,
it's meant for a real soldier.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
So that was pretty awesome. And then he went on to say, that fucking pain in the ass guy that was giving you trouble this whole time, the guy that's been busting his balls the whole time at Castle Black.
Yeah.
He said, oh yeah, I sent him on a task to bring that severed hand from the undead over to that little boy who's sitting on the throne or whatever. He says something about
your buddy Jeffrey.
Yeah, my buddy Jeffrey. Yeah, and it's not even
Jeffrey.
He is a fucking Jeffrey. It's Joffrey. Yeah. He says his name's like Thorn or something like that. The guy he hates was always fucking the guy that assigned him to fucking be this guy's bitch, essentially, to think that he was gonna fuck with them, right? He keeps fucking with them, and he's like, yeah, don't worry about him. I sent him on his way, and he's gonna have to go travel and bring this hand, and we'll see what he has to say about that, because no one believes that there's these undead creatures beyond the wall. Everyone laughs and makes fun of the fact that they're out there, right? And they don't understand that there is a danger coming that they're not aware of. Like, they're all just like, oh yeah, that's superstition, right? So so that's basically. Then you see Jon going to celebrate with the boys. He's showing off the sword. They're all like,
whipping it out for everybody.
Yeah, they're all happy for him. And
Buddy seems a little sad. That's what I noticed.
Yeah, well, Sam, he's a little upset because he read a Raven message about Rob's current situation on the outside world, and then he gives that information to Jon, and of course, that's upsetting him because he's stuck at Castle Black, so he's not like he can go and help his brother, right? So
he wants to fucking go and he can't. Yeah.
So
he's a real. I'm starting to like that Mr. Jon Snow over there. I'm gonna call him Mr. already.
He's one of the most popular characters on the show. Like, a lot of people's favorite character is Jon Snow. He's not my favorite character, but I do like him. He's one of the best.
Well, I know, but I like him. I'm not saying he's my favorite yet, but I'm really starting to like him. That's all.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's a great character. Yeah. So then, this is one of the most fucked up scenes ever, right here. Catelyn basically brokers one of the worst fucking deals I've ever heard of. Okay, she is completely useless. She finds this as she considers this a win. Yeah. I mean, I guess it is, considering where they end up at the end of the episode, I guess, but it's this is fucked. Okay, so get this, guys. Catelyn, Robb Stark's mother, tells Robb when she comes back from speaking with Lord Walder there, that he has granted Robb crossing through his kingdom there, right? His area.
Yeah.
And in return, what does he want? He asks. He's like, well, he wants you to take his son as your squire and eventually expects knighthood out of this situation. He's like, okay, done. No problem. Anything else? Yeah, Arya is to marry his son. He's like, oh, she's really not going to like that. Oh, okay. That good. I'm glad you did. He's like, oh, no. What else? And she sees it because she's like, and Rob, you got to marry one of his daughters, whichever you prefer, whichever one of his daughters, but you're going to have to marry one of them after all the fighting is done, said and done. And, we've won this. You're going to have to come back and marry one of his
No, I
daughters.
thought he had to pick I thought he got handed a certain one that nobody wanted. Like,
No, she says you can
like
pick.
a winner.
He says you can pick whichever. And this is when he says to her, he's like, he asks his mom, he's like, well, did you get a good look at his daughters? And she's like, yeah, like, well, one of them was okay. Like, essentially, like, he says, like, yeah, one of them was all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that clearly the rest of them are fucking ugly, is what she's saying. And I'm sure those ones are a breeding of a mongoloid type situation as well over there, right? So I think I think he's fucking like kids of kids at this point that he's banging all these women, right? So I think there's some sort of fucked up shit going on with the women there, I think, is what's happening.
Yeah, he'd probably be in jail these days. Yeah. But yeah, it's a little crazy. Imagine that, eh? Your mother just said, okay, that's it. You're married off.
Oh, what kind of a fucking shitty deal is that, though? All of that? Not one, not two, but three fucking things? Okay, the squire, whatever, but like, you gotta like, at one point you got to be like, okay, well, listen, it's either my daughter or my son, not both of them. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, and the worst part about it is Arya is, which we get to later, is literally in the streets right now. She's nowhere with her family, and she's just being brokered off in a deal for this guy's fucking son, and she's not aware of this.
No, she has no idea what the fuck's going on. She knows about her old man.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so
dude.
So that was horrible. I just got to point that out. That was one of the worst deals ever.
Yeah.
Right there.
So now they start to cross, finally.
So yeah, they're allowed to cross now. So back at the wall there, Castle Black. This is a part that there's a lot to this, but I don't.
Is he blind?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to know that off the top of my head because I thought so, and I thought I heard them say that, but I was
So this mysterious old man that's
that's when John's helping, right?
Yeah, that's been at Castle Black this whole time. He comes up to John and he basically starts saying all this shit about his past to him. We find out John's like, who are you? Because he starts telling him all these like, weird, like cryptic kind of messaging about like, maybe you should get the fuck. He doesn't think that that he should be there. Like, essentially, he's like, you don't want to end up like me, basically like an old fucking man here, and all this shit that's happened to me. And he says, who are you? And then he's like, are you Aemon Targaryen? Because he talks about being related to the Mad King.
Yeah.
And I guess that's who this mysterious old man is. And he basically just warns him of his future there. And he doesn't think that he should be there. And he thinks like a bad old, like he thinks it's bad that he's there, essentially. Like he warns him, essentially, right? And he says,
is he saying that he's Aemon Targaryen is the name of the Mad King? No, that's not what his name was it? We don't know what his name is. We never found out yet, dude.
That's the thing. There's a lot to what I think is discussed here with this old man that we're not going to see or understand until later on. Yeah.
I even feel like it's going now. That part there might be bleeding into House of Dragons territory.
Well, anything that has to do with the House of the Dragons. But basically, he said, yeah, he's Aemon, this guy.
Yeah, you see what I mean? I know. I told you. I don't think it is, bro.
It is the guy it is from House of the Dragon. This is the fucking guy from House of the Dragon.
That's what I mean. I feel like that's what it was, bro. I feel.
No. There's an article here that tells you how they're all related. Again,
that's what I mean.
This is for the people that read the books. They get into this shit a lot in there, and obviously they do in the show. But there's a lot of things that we don't even know.
Oh.
The son of Aryan Targaryen. Yeah, so there is a family tree with these guys. But yeah, he's somewhere along the line. He is related to the Targaryens. But he clearly says in this scene to him that he fucked up and he came to Castle Black, obviously, to get out of whatever situation that he was in. And now he basically has spent the rest of his life there and he regrets it to some degree.
And all he did was hear about his family dying.
Exactly. So he says, like, he basically says, don't do the same thing I did, essentially, to him. he wants him to get away from here, right? That's essentially what his messaging is to him.
I felt it was crazy. It was deep, and I felt like the way I had to focus on it.
But that's what I mean. I think what he's saying is stuff. Again, we don't. Even me, having watched the show, I couldn't fully understand everything he was going on about. But I think that works for the scene.
Yeah.
Even John's like, "Who are you, this fucking crazy old man?" And he's just like, "Who are?" He's like, "Are you saying you're fucking Aemon Targaryen?" And that's why. And he doesn't even really answer him directly. He just like, yeah, he just starts fucking rambling about something else, and he's just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. And then he goes, yeah, it keeps going.
Weird ass old man. Yeah.
Yeah, he's feeding the crows. He's just a guy, old man feeding the crows, man. That's all he is.
Yeah. So now we cut over to Drogo there. He collapses off his horse, bro, and he's
I forgot all about that.
it looks like he's dying at this point. I mean, it's not confirmed as of yet, but they're making their way through the desert. Khal Drogo falls off the horse. We do know that he just ended up getting sliced up when he went to battle with one of his other men in the previous episode, and then a witchcraft type woman, like a witch, put some at that time, any person who had any sort of healing methods was maybe looked at as a witch, but she seems like a straight up she, as we learn later on, like a witch in terms of like the rituals that she kind of busts out. And she tried to actually heal his wound at that time. Like Khaleesi allowed her to basically lay hands on him previously after he got stabbed up, like in that previous scene, right? So last episode. So we kind of just see a quick scene of her freaking out and speaking in fucking not Targaryen. What the fuck is it called? Dothraki to her other to the other men and everything, because she's trying to direct them around, because he falls off the fucking horse. He's weak, right? He can no longer sit on the horse, and they got to basically just set up camp there, right? Because he's like dying.
They didn't want to. They wanted to keep going.
That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, every minute counts right now, right? So
they're animals, man. They don't really care. They just want they leave their own behind. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Then we cut over to Tywin, who's set up in base camp for his war, basically prepping for Robb. Tyrion walks up and joins them, pours some wine and kind of jumps in on the conversation as they're basically strategizing about what's going to happen. And Tywin then mentions to him and the barbarian people that he brought there will be on the front line, essentially. And Tyrion's just like, listen, I'll be killed with these savages out there. Like, he's like, and he kind of storms off because he's upset at his father, the fact that he doesn't give a shit that he's actually putting him in harm's way by putting him out on the front line with these people, right? Because he kind of goes on about how, like, how savage they are, like how horrible they are, like the things that they've been doing in the camp all night, and just like the fact that he doesn't trust being with these people in battle, right? So
yeah. Well, you missed a whole big part of the scene with the witchcraft stuff. All that.
That's later.
No, that actually happened just before this. I wrote it down scene by scene.
I don't have this here. I don't have the witchcraft here. I have it in the net later on.
That was her. This is where she kind of put her foot down.
No? I have it later on, the witchcraft.
Okay. Oh, well, we'll keep going. We'll see. I thought I had written it that way, but maybe I was wrong.
Maybe. I don't know. And then you see Tyrion after he storms off. He has some entertainment for the night.
Yeah.
He ends up he gets Bronn to steal a whore from somewhere in the camp. Well, he's like, where did you get her from? She seems very beautiful to be like here. And he's just like, oh, I don't know. She was at somebody else's camp. He's like, did they not like you taking her? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I did something about it. Like, he's like, here's something like along those lines. I took care of it,
Yeah.
And then he says, he's like, oh yeah, don't worry, I took her, that fucking ginger cunt or whatever he says about somebody that he had to take her from, right? So, and then Bronn says, he's like, as he sees them kind of getting friendly with one another, he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go try to find a whore as well. Then he leaves.
Yeah, he leaves,
and Tyrion gets to know her, and he amongst other things says that what he expects of her. Yeah, he wants her to fuck her like it's his last.
That's where you got your skills from, eh? Where you got your making your game skills from, eh? This is it, eh? From Tyrion, he's your inspiration, because I wrote you make some games, and I put like Nico because you made up that last game. I put in brackets just to remember, because that reminded me, because you said this character is your favorite character. I'm wondering if that whole way because he actually created his own little game there, which I thought was so cool. The way he set it up.
Yeah, again, that's jumping ahead.
Drinking, yeah.
Yeah, they do play a drinking game later on, but
Oh, I thought, sorry, maybe I wrote it down wrong. I apologize, guys.
oh, that's okay. Because the next scene now we're going to be talking about is again going back to Drago here. Cal Drago here is the next.
Okay.
So I think you just kind of put the two scenes
Mix
together
them.
that were with the same characters, even though they kind of flip back and forth, right? So
I hear you. Yeah, because it was going back and forth.
yeah, no worries. You're still with me. Don't worry. So yeah, Tyrion basically says, yeah, he wants her to, amongst other things, he wants her, to laugh at his jokes, keep him company, and fuck him like it's the last night of, of him in this world, essentially. And she's like, okay, let's start with that. He kind of just lays out the whole deal with her. He says, yeah, I'm gonna, pay you, and you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and you're gonna spend time with me, and you're gonna make sure that I'm taken care of, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So, then, so it's funny because, which is probably one of the best scenes of the episode when they do play the drinking game, which we'll get into in a minute here. How he deals with whores now compared to the story he tells, right? He kind of learned his way around, it seems like, since then. Because we'll get
we'll get into that.
This tragic story, but that I think it's interesting how he knows how to talk to them now, like whores, or treat them as essentially as what they are, I guess, paid entertainment for his sake, right? So, Khal Drago, now we cut back over to him. He appears to be dying due to the wound. Jorah Mormont comes in and sees, talks to the Khaleesi, basically confirms that he's basically not going to survive the night. He's kind of not, she's kind of denying it. And she said, you guys don't understand how strong he is. He can't die, this and that. And she's kind of convinced that they can bring him back to life somehow. And the woman, then she tries to get her in there. And one of his men thinks that she's part of the problem. He starts barking basically at the situation, that Khaleesi gets in her face, and he doesn't want her kind of touching him as a result. And Khaleesi doesn't believe in that. She thinks that she can help him. And then she basically asks her to do whatever she needs to do to basically revive him. And she goes on to do some type of witchcraft type shit, blood magic, as they fucking call it, right? And she basically says, well, she's like, well, basically for death, you need life. You need to sacrifice life. And she's like, whose life? My life? She's like, no, bring me his horse. So they bring his fucking horse in, and they fucking stab the fucking horse, blood flying all over the place. And she kind of just goes to town. She tells everybody to leave the tent, and she starts her ritual, her chants, and she's doing some blood magic shit, right? And everybody's kind of, including Jorah Mormont, is disgusted at this and doesn't believe in what's going on. And the only person that's really kind of trying to go for it is the Khaleesi, because she's kind of ran out of options at this point, right? She fears that he's going to die. That's pretty crazy.
Well, she's trying to throw it away about saying, how she's the fucking, she's at the blood of the dragon. They said that Jorah said that they're just going to fucking, after he dies, they're just going to fight it out for who's next. And they're going to feed your fucking, they're going to kill you and feed your baby to have your, when your baby's born. They'll have their way with you, and when your baby's born, they're gonna feed it to the dogs. They said that's what they would do, right? If Aquaman there died, what's his name?
Yeah,
Jason Momoa.
Because he says to her once he sees that he's dying, he's like, "Listen, I know a port around here. We'll get you out of here on the next." He's like, "Let's just go." Like, he offers to help her escape this situation. Because he's like, there's no future for you here, right? Exactly for the reasons you just stated, because these men aren't going to listen to you. Khal Drogo was the reason why they respected you in that sense, right?
Yeah.
Without you here, you don't stand a chance with these guys. So he offers to take her away, and he refuses, right?
Yeah.
And then Jorah Mormont, because he broke up the fact that guy who went in the tent that was opposed to this whole blood magic shit, one of his men, one of the loyal ones there, he got in his face, and then he was like, "Oh, you better watch yourself later tonight," like from that guy. And then when she goes back outside the tent, when everyone gets kicked out for the blood magic, these two go at it. The guy fucking crosses swords with Jorah Mormont, and he takes him out quick, makes quick work of this fucking guy, Jorah Mormont. He kills the shit out of that guy, right?
Yeah, it was awesome, man.
Bro, he's an actual knight. This guy's an untrained fucking barbarian guy, right? So, like, this guy, he made quick work.
No protection, nothing on him.
Yeah. Jorah has his fucking armor on. He's got a sword. He's like, yeah, whatever. He kills the guy, right?
He's forged in steel. That's it. He's ready to go.
Right. But he makes it clear he doesn't approve what's going on with the witch either, the Khaleesi. And Then the Khaleesi, she falls during all this shit, and it seems like she's either hurt or in labor. Like he says to go get like the woman to check her out, whatever they're called, the labor people. I forgot what their names are,
Your
but
midwives kind of thing.
midwife. I think that's what he called her too. Yeah. So basically that though, he tells them to go get that person, and that's kind of where we leave that scene, right? But it does not look good.
They really want to do anything, because they think that she's into the black magic because of that horse thing. So I mean, it's kind of weird where we're going with this. You don't know if he's gonna die, so it's like, okay, that's kind of where that ended, and we don't see anything progress from that. I don't think for the rest of this episode now.
No.
Now it gets into the interesting parts.
Yeah, and okay, this is a great scene. So now we're back at the tent with Tyrion, Bronn, and the whore. They're playing a drink.
And the whore, just the way you throw it out there, bro. I just and the whore. It's just sorry.
I mean, that's what she is. I forgot her name. I don't know if they even say it in this one, but they're playing drinking games, and the drinking game that Tyrion suggests that they play is something where they guess revealing things about their past, and if they're able to guess correctly, it's basically they drink essentially, right? And Tyrion, what's his name? Bronn mentions the fact that Tyrion was once engaged, or married, essentially married. And Tyrion tells a story about how he encountered a woman years ago. I guess that was almost about to get raped, and he basically helped save her. And then I guess he took her back to wherever with him, and then she ended up sleeping with him. And then by the morning, it seemed like he had fallen in love with her after this whole ordeal. I guess that's the way everything went down, and he proposed to her. And then what he went on to learn after the fact was that this was a scenario that Jaime set up and put into play because he was worried about his brother not being able to find somebody, and that they set this whole thing up, and that they hired a whore to do this, play this part. And then the most horrible part about this story is that Tywin, his father, then brought his then wife in and paid her to fuck all of his men, and basically made Tyrion join him in the barracks and forced him to watch.
Yeah, and showed look what a few look what it would look. She'll do it for anybody. Saying, oh, I couldn't believe that, bro. No wonder he was so fucked.
And then Bronn just turns to him. He's like, I would have killed the man that did that to me. He's like,
I mean, seriously, dude, that's traumatizing. If you think about it, he must have been, what did he say? He was 16 at the time. Yeah.
It's pretty brutal, scarring fucking incident. Absolutely. But
fucking horse.
I will say this. The one thing I did agree with that followed that the actual other whore mentioned, though, was that, about, because he's just like, oh, you didn't know she was a whore, like the Bronn asked her, and then he's like, yeah, well, like I said, I was young and naive at that time. I didn't know these things. And then she says, listen, a woman who was almost raped that doesn't invite a man, that goes and invites a man into her bed 2 hours later and has sex with him, that's all, like, you should have known, like, right from there. No woman almost gets raped and then ends up wanting to have sex 2 hours later, essentially. And
it's not possible.
I agree. I mean, she was like, yeah.
I would think the same thing like you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, that makes complete sense. I mean, when she said that, I was like, yeah. But like you said, he didn't know any better, I guess. But anyways.
What did he say? What did he say that the quote that he said there was a few lies, a few gold coins, one drunken spat, and there you have it, man and wife. Right? That's how he got married to her when he was drunk. He just paid something.
The other great quote too, and I can't say it's verbatim here, but he says something along the lines of how he was, by the end of it, after fucking all the men, she was swimming in silver coins, essentially. Like, they were like dripping off her. So I forgot what he said, but he basically he was trying to give you the picture in your head that she got so much money essentially thrown at her because of this act that she performed, that she couldn't care less about him. You know what I mean? Like, he basically just said, like, that trifling bitch. Like, she's like that whore. But it was just such a.
Seeing if I could see it here.
Yeah.
Go on.
But then they go to bed, and Tyrion wakes up to Bronn waking him up, saying that, hey, listen, you're missing the war, bud. Apparently they got attacked, I guess, during the night or the early morning, right? Their camp.
It was busy.
Listen, I gotta say though, he then shows some hustle and initiative. Tyrion. He runs out and he starts calling all the men to his side. Starts telling where to go. It looks like he's about to fucking, roll with the punches here. He's about to fucking get into position. Then they trample him.
Yeah,
His own
dude, that was the best. That was
his
the
own men
best.
trample him. He becomes unconscious and knocked out on the ground by his own men as a result of this. And he misses the whole goddamn war. What a lucky fucking prick.
Yeah, in a way.
Then Braun wakes him up and he's on the wagon and he looks up or looks down at him and he's like, "You missed the whole fucking war." And he's just like, he's like, what the fuck happened? you know? And then
I thought that was 20,000 men. And then, yeah, that's when he found out it was only 2,000.
no, 2,000. And then what happened to the other 18,000?
Yeah, that's what they didn't know where they were, right? They were done. I think it's coming.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're coming.
Literally in the next scene, we cut to Rob capturing Jamie, and that's where they were. They went a different alternate route because, as we knew from earlier on, Jamie left that camp and went on his own way because he had to flee after he fucking attacked Ned.
Yeah.
So he had his own men, obviously not enough to kind of hold down, and they misdirected their attack, and they were smart, and they basically sent some people to distract them at the camp, knowing that, listen, we could lose this war, 2,000 people, yeah, okay, whatever, those are disposable compared to the 18,000 in our army that are going to hit Jamie and capture him, right? Because they were going to overwhelm him.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what ends up happening. They end up capturing Jamie, and they say go throw him. They're going to basically keep him as their prisoner. So they do catch their man. So I mean, good on them. I mean, like you said, everyone was doubting Rob.
Smart.
He kept trying to act like his father, think like his father, and it kind of paid off. I mean, yeah, he had balls and he was young and he made some bad decisions along the way, but he pulled it off, right? Along with his mother's
Stark.
Along with his mother's help, though. So they pull it off. Then you cut over to Arya and you see a scene with her basically begging for food because she's homeless in the streets of King's Landing.
That's why I even wrote that too. I said that Jamie Lannister brought back by Rob, and I said Rob's finally growing some balls.
Yeah,
it's acting like he's actually, doing his thing now.
Stepping up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck. It's awesome to see that.
But that is a very short-lived scene because she is in the streets of King's Landing. She then hears an announcement because they bring him out to the center square, essentially, of King's Landing, and they bring Ned out, and Ned confesses to treason. As we all know, he did not commit treason. Well, I guess in the sense he said, you're not the real king. He did, but not to the point like they basically get him to admit a bunch of shit that he didn't do, including deceiving the king and actually trying to murder his Joffrey in order to seize the throne, as he is forced to admit to. And he basically gives in to the shit that Varys basically said, listen, this is the only way you're going to make it out. Your daughter has already pled for you. And also,
life, basically, your life.
Yeah, you need to suck it up and cast aside your fucking your you know what I mean, the fact that you're so noble and an honest man, and you know what I mean. You have to basically admit to this, and he will let you off.
But there's still those times were a little different. I mean, there's still a pendulum there that could go either way, and as you know in the next scene, right?
He says, "Let Baelor hear my confessions," the whole spiel. But of course, that's not what ends up happening.
Yeah, everybody is kind of cool with it, like the Baelor said okay, and then they told the king, your buddy Joffrey.
Joffrey gets up after he says all this shit and admits the stuff that he didn't do.
Yeah.
Like, oh, listen, my mother, Cersei, wants me to allow Ned to join the Night's Watch, and as I marry his daughter. And but women's hearts are soft, and as your king, treason should not go unpunished. Bring me his
dick, eh?
Bring me. See why I hate this kid now?
He's really starting to fucking show off like he's got like he's got shit. Let's see if he's got a real pair.
And Ned's head proceeds to get cut off, and the episode fucking ends. Someone tries to cover the eyes of Arya, and the crowd are diverted.
I don't know, man. It just fades to his breathing like in the beginning. So I don't know, man. I just wrote, what the fuck, man?
It appears they cut off his head, though.
Yes, it does appear so, but I haven't gone to click to the next episode because I didn't want to spoil it. But now I can go tonight and watch it.
So the first time I saw this episode, holy fuck.
That's what I did. I wrote, dude, can you see it? What the fuck?
All I'm going to say is no matter whether or not this sticks by the next episode and you discover that it is the case or not, I will say this. A man like Ned Stark.
Skipped.
What?
I never even moved. Like I'm still on episode 9 here on the
Yeah.
IMDb as well.
A man like Ned Stark is not fit for this world in this show. I will say that much to you.
They would
Okay.
have killed me a long time ago in that era. In that era, I think I got no. I would be like sort. I kind of feel like I'd be like him, just a
Ned
nice guy
Stark.
sometimes.
Ned Stark is the only good human being I think we ever see on this show. There's others. There is others. John's a nice good. The Starks.
The Starks. Let's just
Starks
with the family. The Starks are
are
nice.
the only good people in this world.
Right now, I feel like his daughter. This could make this whatever happens in this next episode can make his daughter become fucking a badass now. Like after she sees this shit, right?
Which one?
The young one, the old one. She's already married. I mean, what is she gonna do? She's
Well, that's interesting you say that because you already kind of see their paths being basically like shown. Basically, what's
well,
happening.
they're basically building a character, right? They're building their character profile. Like, I mean, what happened in their past, what's happening in their present, and we'll see what happens next, right?
So,
It's a well done show, man. Like this.
were you shocked when you saw that scene, Jay?
Yes, bro. What did you not see what I wrote? I said they do it, like, and I have a question mark. I don't even know, man, because I didn't.
All I'm going to say is the first time I watched this, you'll have to watch the next episode, but the first time I watched this episode, I was like edge of my. There's about three for sure, maybe four general what the fuck, like jaw on the floor moments I experienced watching this show. This was one of them. Because I just felt like, how can you possibly, if that is appearing, what happens at the end of this episode, kill this guy in this show, right? I'm just like,
We'll 8 more seasons. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
how could they kill this guy? So that's I'll leave you with that because I was shocked when I first seen this episode. There's about 2 more that are coming to mind right now in other seasons, later seasons, and I think one of them, I think somebody already said that they're coming on for that episode. There's a specific episode. I don't even want to tell you the name of the episode, but there is somebody I think already told us they want to come on for that episode specifically because they're like, yeah, I'll come on for that one. Like, that's how good this episode is. And it's such a fucking shock that happens. I think it's got to be one of the most shocking things I've ever seen on television, period.
The way they do it, not that it's shocking, it's because I always know at the end of the first season, if there's a big cast like this, most shows, and guys, and I'm gonna make this quick, but most shows, if contracts aren't renewed properly, knowing that they're going into another season, people get killed off, and it happens,
That's
right?
the reality of it, yeah.
It is the reality of it. And usually it's the good characters because they want the better money. Like the more characters that draw you to their
But
you, like he's drawn me to him. And if he dies in this thing, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck? I don't know if I want to keep going, but I mean I'm good. I'm in there now, right? But I'm having that, like I see that with other shows, right?
what you just said there just brought me back. That's 100% what I said when I thought he died at the end of this episode. I said the same thing, Jay. I said, I don't even know if I want to watch this show now if he's dead. I said that. I did say that. I was just like, this is me. The show was over and I was catching up because I think season 2 was going to come out. And I was late to the party on watching this. So it was in between the time that this had already aired and I was watching it. Yeah. And I got so into it by the end after like almost abandoning it early on because it was so much information they were throwing at you at the start there. And I was like, okay, I'll stick with it. But when I got to this episode and this ending, I was just like, he's dead. Like, I don't even know if I want to fucking spend time with the rest of these characters anymore. I was just like, because I love this character so much, Ned Stark. And I know it was Sean Bean. I've seen Sean Bean in lots of other things like prior to this. So I was a big fan of the actor as well. So like, and it's funny because as I told you earlier on this show, Sean Bean has a track record and you can go on YouTube and watch it. There is a there's a reel on YouTube of all the things that Sean Bean has died in. There's a clip thing of him dying in almost every movie or TV show that he's ever been on. I'm not going to say that he died here. You'll find out, but I'm just saying.
You know why I'm not letting myself believe it because he's still top as one. He's still. I don't know if it's just because it's this season in general I'm looking at on IMDb, but on there he's still considered one of the top cast. He's still at the number 1 spot, right? So I can't. I don't know how to not. I can't get rid of him, but to see that's what's fucking me up too, right?
But to your point, though, about the shows where they kill off characters, yeah, we've all seen surprising deaths on things on shows with characters before. But I feel like a lot of those other shows, there's a lot of foreshadowing that they're going to die prior to them actually getting killed. They really prepare you a lot of the time that certain people might get killed off. I wasn't surprised when a lot of people ended up dying on The Sopranos, for instance, and stuff like that. And sometimes, yeah, it was shocking. And sometimes not so shocking. Like it's meant to play as shocking, but it wasn't. Like Walking Dead got really cheesy with that. Like there's a lot of shit where they would fucking end seasons on stupid fucking cliffhangers. Then you come back and you find out the person was alive, or like they would kill off somebody in some stupid way. You know what I mean? Like I really kind of hate. That's one of the reasons why I started hating on the show at one point, because they kept playing with the viewers' expectations.
People wanted money, man. That was a lot of the issue.
But I get it, but I didn't like how they started playing on the viewers' expectations for that. There is one thing that happens later on in this show where you do not see this fucking coming at all. There's no indication that it's gonna happen. Like it's such a fucking buildup. It's crazy, man. I'm not gonna tease it anymore, but it's like you're gonna see. That's one of the most shocking things on television I think I've ever seen. Like I did not. Everybody I think that watched it, like that's where I think like a lot of people that didn't watch the show started watching it because of this episode. It must be in the next season or the third season or something. It's early on. It was just, it was one of the best like hours of television I think I've ever seen. There are some great fucking episodes coming up, man. If you've liked season 1, this is nothing. Like it goes in so many crazy directions after this.
I hope so. I hope so, because I mean, like for them to have done something so well, like I thought in the first season of House of Dragons, I figured that this show had to be as good. You guys were all raving.
Listen, guys, I don't know if you guys ever checked out our show, year-end media review. Me and Jay, if you guys are interested in checking that out, if you guys only watch this show, go back and watch it in our playlist and our feed. One of them's called playlist year-end media reviews. It's at the end of every year. Me and Jay get together and we talk about all of our favorite shows and movies and things like that came out this past year. Jay's number one show out of his top 10 of shows that came out this year was House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon just won an award recently at the Golden Globes as well this past week. So, like, listen, it's
not something to be fucked with. It's coming back. It's got it.
It's gonna take 2 years, though. They say it's not even coming back in this year.
But that's the problem. It's taking so long. Yes, but I mean, it does for show this quality, and I'm seeing this caliber and quality of style. And plus, production has a lot more CGI, I think.
Yeah, the production is top notch. No. I mean, compared to the later seasons of Game of Thrones, they've upped it for House of the Dragon big time, because they know there's a built-in audience already. They know, like they were like, what this show was
to be made.
Exactly. So I think they're taking the right approach and taking their time this time around, because as we've talked about, and even though you have never seen it, a lot of fucking people thought they dropped the ball at the end of Game of Thrones, which I know it's disappointing knowing we're going to be watching it all, and you may think otherwise, honestly, but fans were divided over the ending of Game of Thrones. Like they lost a lot of faith in a lot of people. And I'm happy to say, if that was one of you guys and you guys were fans of Game of Thrones, and you haven't checked out House of the Dragon, check it out. It is quite good. I think it was on my list as well. It just didn't make my number one, but doing this show and watching that, I know you've been really into it this year, so that's really good, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, man, I am having fun. It's like I said, because I'm watching it the first time. I'd rather watch the show, but I am taking notes as well. It's probably, like I said, easier on a rewatch to do something like this, in a sense, something that I've watched already and rewatched. So, but it is fun too, because by writing it down, it's staying in my head too, right?
Yeah,
and I noticed that the more I write stuff down, the more it sticks in my head. And I honestly, I think I thought I had that part mixed up, and I don't know if I did, where I wrote it down, those two scenes, but I'm gonna go back and check.
I may have been wrong. You were pulling out names today for the first time, like you, without even ever having to look at your notes.
I didn't even look at. I look at IMDb for that one name you wanted me to look up, Bradley. There. Yeah, but that was it. I'm pretty good, bro. I'm getting a lot better with these characters now. I just. The Rob part, sometimes I mix up the Rob and his buddy there. What's his name? See, that's why I always mix it up.
Who?
What the hell's his name now? Oh, there's Rob, and where's the other guy? Looks like Gay Buddy. Oh, it's Greyjoy. What's his name?
Theon.
Theon, yeah. Man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that, but who knows back in those days.
Anyway, well, there you go, guys. That's episode 9 of season 1, Baelor.
One
Uh,
more left.
and then what is the name of the next episode, Jay? You have it up there. What's the episode 10, the season finale of season 1 of Game of Thrones?
The next one is Fire and Blood. Oh shit, that's the name of the whiskey. Actually, that was the name of the Johnny Walker.
Yeah, I believe it's one of the names of the books too, if I'm not mistaken.
I would think so. I was looking at the names afterwards to see if anything else matched anything that I had here, but no, it's really the rest of it's just their names, like those scotches and stuff. Like I told you, I had those are just the names of the houses, not the actual. That Fire and Blood, I think, is actual part of the book.
Yeah, it is. It's the name of one of the novels that he did, Fire and Blood. And and it says this one is it tells the history of House Targaryen.
We're gonna learn something a little bit more now because we're gonna. This is where this is where I'm gonna compare it to what we've seen in House of Dragons. Now this is gonna be interesting.
Well, we are both going to be doing that for the first time now because, like, I don't remember a lot of the shit from Game of Thrones because it's been so long since I've seen it. Yeah. And you having been so interested and recently having watched House of Dragon, you're really going to be able to make some connections here. So it looks like next episode, big things are going to happen with that Khal Drogo storyline because, the Fire and Blood is the book that's based on the history of House Targaryen. House of the Dragon is essentially, I believe, everything is from this book. That's basically what I'd heard about the books was that House of the Dragon, the whole show is really just based around the history that was given out in one of the books out of several books or whatever in the series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I
could be something like this whole connection here. Well, we don't know. We have to see what happens.
I mean, listen, this world is so rich that they could essentially make a show about every fucking house in the realm, as far as I'm concerned.
I really want to play a Risk board game like this, man. Like, I'm serious, dude. Just the way the blood fucking flows through the fucking seams.
I can't believe you're nerding out about this, man.
Fuck off.
That's great. I'm loving it. Great. We have to. I know. If anybody can track that down out there, that'd make a good gift to JT.
Why, is there actually a game out there like that? A Risk
version? About it. We talked about it a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, we did. Because I remember I asked you. I said, "Is there a game of something?" Yeah. Okay, fuck.
We know somebody who has it.
So we better fucking play it. Unless they don't have it open.
No, they do. I told you who has it, Kyle.
All right. Maybe if he's watching this because he likes us.
Yeah, look, you can buy it on Amazon, Jay. $109.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ask Kyle to play it. That's all.
Yeah. $110 for this Risk. Jesus Christ.
That's an expensive Risk, buddy.
Let me just share the screen quick. We're going a little bit long this episode, but I figured we would with this episode. So let me just bring this up very quickly here. I'll show you guys. And maybe Jay can unearth his bottles of liquor and show off for the finale next week.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna dig him out of that closet, bro.
Look. Look at the board. Look, that's all of the Westeros. Look, the dragons. Look at the pieces. Dragons, different thrones.
No way.
Pretty cool, eh?
That's fucking sick.
I played
this.
It
looks like Europe. Like it really does before anything, eh? If you look at the way the style is set up.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the world, right?
I've played this before. I've played that one before.
Is that supposed to be the world or just the old world?
That's Westeros. That's the Game of Thrones world. Westeros.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, I guess it'd be all one Earth, like wherever they're living, wherever that fucking planet, like if it's even Earth that they're on.
I told you that's the realm, Westeros. That's basically that is the world, but you know, it's the it's what it is.
That's fucking cool, man. Looks like complicated that game because Risk was always a little different, right? I mean, Risk took fucking a long time.
It's a very involved game, absolutely, right?
It's one of those games you can leave and come back the next day and still play it.
Yeah, but you know that's pretty awesome, man. That Risk, I've played it once. That Game of Thrones one, it is pretty cool. So.
Yeah, hey, well, I'm gonna hopefully I can get a chance to try it. If you said it's pretty cool, I think you said the show was good, but it took me a long time.
I love regular Risk though, right? So like for me, when there was Game of Thrones Risk, it was fucking even cooler because I love regular Risk. So I was just like being a fan of the show. That was pretty fucking awesome, man. That game. So yeah,
that's cool, man. No, that's awesome. It is, bro.
So,
but I'm so down. Like if we play a game, but yeah, that's awesome. I'm ready for the next episode, man. I might even go watch it tonight before I crash out. Who knows? Because I really want to see what the fuck happened, but then I can watch it a second time before.
Yeah, take the notes then. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
It's a good reason to watch it.
Yeah. All right, guys. So there you have it. That's episode 9 of season 1 of Game of Thrones. And tune in next week for the finale of the season of season 1, the episode 10 of season 1, Fire and Blood, and that will end season 1 for us. And I don't think we're going to be stopping anytime soon. It looks like we're just going to be continue to go on here. So yeah, it should be good. So
I'm gonna keep going. I'm in it now for the long haul, guys. So
there you go.
it is what it is.
All right, guys. See you guys next time.
I got the music, or we're just ending it.
End it. Later.
Later, guys.